All right, we good. Yeah.
Because to me, the people behind the medicine, they're predatory. And the crazy thing about that is, them being predatory, it seems like everybody want to kind of one up me, but when if they're willing to go to fact for fact with any situation,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna lose. Cause fact for fact, I win it every time. Because at the end of the day, I did nothing to be put on this medicine. So it's not much you can of an argument that you can make to justify roofing someone with mind reading medicine. So any argument they make is gonna be stupid and ignorant. Because
I forgot the kid moved out
it's,
there.
it's, it's just how that is. You can't, like, for example, before a family member referred me to that job,
Mm-hmm.
people had already been shot over the situation of me allegedly starting a gang war. So
Wait a minute. Did we talk about a gang war last time? I don't remember that. Um.
I might not win. I didn't go into detail.
Uh,
So I don't think my family or friends had anything malicious going on because people had already been shot. People were shot, rappers were shot in October of 2005. Around maybe the beginning of 2006 is when I was referred by a family member. And my mother come to me hugging me, crying. Jeezy mentioned threats against my life on multiple occasions. Like he said in one song, to fail or succeed, I don't know which worse. One slip and I'm back to the basics.
mm-hmm.
And the basics was people wanting to kill me, which explains why my mother come hugging me crying before medicine, and even um, when I went back to work after I was on the medicine and didn't know what type of medicine it was on. One of the managers there said something to me. His name was Paul, which you would perceive as a threat, and the government took it as a threat, and he wasn't the only one. The government took it as a threat because when I was a client of CSB's in Gloucester, the CSB in Gloucester,
Mm-hmm.
they gave me a therapist with his same name, full name. So I don't know, and it wasn't him, of course, but I don't know what the government got me caught up in and what people think I done because I did nothing to anyone. And when I was at that job where I used to work, even before medicine, it was a hotel called Ties In.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't involved in anything with any manager, criminal anyway. Neither have I been with rappers or the pillars of my community. I got no criminal ties to any syndicate, crime syndicate whatsoever. So the reality is, they made all this up. Like, and Young Jeezy also said, no, what he said, no punchlines, no riddles. I'm talking white squares with the stamps in the middle. You know me, I take the good with the bad. So what is the good and what is the bad? And me being an artist myself, is more to that in the sense of, because you write music on paper and you think what you're going to write down. So
Right.
me being a musician myself, knowing his thought process says he was referring to something because I'm a fellow musician myself. It's not random. Like when you put lyrics together, they usually build off of the previous lyric. So you're in a mental space of what you previously wrote. So when he said no punchlines, no riddles, I'm talking white squares with the stamps in the middle. You know me, I take the good with the bad. So what was the good, what was the bad? I had to be on this medicine being the bad. Me getting a record deal being the good. I don't know. And my thing is, what does the government got me caught up in that they're trying to blame my parents for? Because at the end of the day, I was 21. They had no business going to my parents with matters concerning me from jump. That's the first thing. Second thing, um, they threaten and extort them, in which that's something they're still doing today. So it's a situation where the government is not being honest about what happened. And just yesterday, I was looking at something where they said, well, um, that nobody is supporting me, and it's not. Basically, this is me paraphrasing. It was kind of like that they focus on my personality and my behavior because they don't want to talk about the real issues and what really happened that led to all of this. So they focus on things about me versus speaking on what the actual problem is. Because in the community of Williamsburg or Gloucester or wherever I'm at, everything around me in this bubble that I'm in focus on my personal life.
Mm-hmm.
They don't talk about anything else. And at the end of the day, this situation being the way it is a choice on the behalf of the government, because it's a lot of things that could be done to improve everybody's lives, and the topics and the conversations that they choose to have usually is stuff that makes me look bad. The things that they choose to entertain is usually stuff that make me look bad, and things like a family member of mine, one of my aunts, coming in the house when I was first put on the medicine and said Donahue is the drug dealer. And this Donahue is someone that got, like, I don't know, anywhere from 8 to 10 properties in my community, building bowling alleys and selling it, and then they turn it into the public library, owning apartments, and now he's the mayor of the town, so. And my aunt, she don't drink, don't smoke cigarettes, don't do drugs, don't do anything. All she do is work, come home, cook, and clean. So it ain't someone that is involved in the streets, but gossip and rumors led to her knowing stuff like that, in which I didn't know that the dude Donahue was involved in criminal activity. I've heard his name because I used to go to one of the properties he owned. He didn't live there, but he owned it, and so things like that, the government choose not to talk about. This Chris Sampson, and I wrote this down too.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is, Chris had to know about the alleged attempted murder before me, which make it a frame job, because who waits a quarter of a mile from someone home at 5 or 6 in the morning? So did they wake him up out his sleep to brief him and tell him what to do? Because I didn't find out that they was forcing me and threatening me to do something till 1 or 2 in the morning.
Tell me, who is Chris Sampson?
A guy I went to school with.
Okay.
And we wasn't friends.
I think
we're not even associates. Like, he's different, like he's a white guy. Nothing against that. But he's Caucasian. I'm black, and I have white friends. I have plenty of white friends, but he just wasn't one of them. Because I grew up playing baseball. He didn't even play baseball with us, I don't think. Actually, I think he might have, actually. But anyway, he wasn't someone that I grew up with, and I just saw him in school. So for him to be parked a quarter of a mile from my house, waiting for me to leave so he could follow me 2 hours 2 hours to Norfolk. Who briefed him? How did he know that I was going to be leaving my house? How did he know what kind of vehicle I was going to be driving? Because I had wrecked my vehicle. So they had to tell him he's either going to be in a SUV or a sedan. So it's things like that, little things that are minuscule like that say, hey, something's not right about this, because you're saying Terrell, on his own free will, woke up one morning and tried to go harm his ex-girlfriend. That's a lie. You know, I woke up from sleeping in the middle of the day from what this job was doing to me, what they was having my family and friends do to me, you know, and it was mainly my friends that was, treating me bad. That's where that whole Genesis thing came up, when they was talking about that when I was first put on the medicine, which, I forgot the details about the whole Genesis thing. I know it's a group of friends. You remember that?
Mm.
What was that about anyway? Because it was so long ago.
I would not be telling you the truth if I told you what was going on, because
Yeah.
I don't recall.
Yeah, but you don't.
But
You
I
know
do
the name.
know what you're
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about. Yes, I do.
Because that's.
Tell me one thing. You said they said that you went out to try to harm your ex girlfriend.
I, I don't know. That's what I come to think that they're referencing of what my actions were, but they wasn't.
Okay.
I woke up one morning and I woke up. I say about 11:30. Went to look at TV like 12:30 in
Mhm.
my living room because I had slept all day and I wasn't eating. I started looking at TV. The Spike channel, which is owned by Viacom, kept showing Girls Going Wild commercials
Mhm.
repeatedly. BET was showing AIDS commercials, and then they showed Dwayne's brother in a Jamie Foxx show, where the Jamie Foxx show was an episode about Ferraris. And the rapper Cameron had already came out, and he's the rapper that got shot in October. And he came out with a song, the beginning, when I first got the job, talking about all my friends come from minimum wages. People hate on us, but they idolize us. And this me not saying the paraphrase non-graphic version of
Mhm.
what he said. Basically he said, I didn't like their music and the way they rap, but I like the way they dress. And he also says, all his ends come from minimum wages, and that was around the time I got hired at this government front. And he said something about Ferraris. The car got him in flavors. When I saw this episode of Jamie Foxx, where on BET, which is owned by Viacom, something about Ferraris, and it was an old episode, but the way the government pieced everything together to frame me that morning and
Mhm.
trigger thoughts in my head to make me think, hey man, I think the TV is talking to me, because on Spike Channel was Girl Going Wild's commercials,
Mhm.
Girl Going Wild commercials. BET was Ace commercial, Wayne's Brothers, and Jamie Foxx. And I'm like, I think, and they kept showing it repeatedly. I mean, repeatedly enough to where I'm like, I think the TV is trying to communicate with me. And then those ringtones came on. It was like, text this. And I'm curious because I want to make sure I ain't going crazy. I text the number, and then I got a message, and this is before the smartphones, on a flip phone where only the time, the display, on the front display, where only the time, the battery life, and the month and year is usually displayed. I got a text message on the front of a phone telling me to be at such and such place at such and such time, or else. And I took that as a threat, and I didn't know where the place was at. I just jumped in the vehicle and drove.
Mhm.
And I jumped, and when I left my house and jumped in the vehicle, a quarter mile up the road, a guy I went to school with, who I haven't spoke to, or really even talked to while I was in school, was sitting up on the hill at Noblest ore place where they do Noblest propane up on the hill, a quarter mile from my house, parked, going towards, what would it be, downtown.
Mhm.
And I'm like, and he followed me all the way to Norfolk. And I'm like, how did he, let's look at it like this. How did he know to be there? Unless he was in on it, you know? And if he was in on it, like, obviously he was, because he followed me 2 hours up the road and even got on a Navy base after me and sat there and watched me, and even approved that I thought it was threats made against my family.
Mhm.
If they will go, he's a witness to that, because they can go ask him when you and Terrell was on that Navy base, did you see Terrell get out the vehicle and go over to a white van and speak to a gentleman inside the van, and he would say yes. And I went over there and asked for a lighter, in which I was being delusional, but I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what to do. I was trying to make sense of everything. And I asked the guy that was in the white van for a lighter, and I told you this last week, because my stepfather was upset, and I felt that they was already threatened before I actually got the threat, because my mother had come to me crying, hit my mother behavior change, my stepfather behavior change, and I thought that they had threatened him. So I seen my stepfather throw a lighter into a cooler.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, and I know this don't seem like much to go off of, but the reality is, I'm very intelligent. Not, and it's not a, it's a humble. It's not even a brag. Like, I'm being humble, and I'm good at, I can be good at analyzing people's behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing that, and you know what kind of medicine I take, so you would know if I was lying to you. Knowing that I had suspicions, and you look at my situation now, looks like I was right. So it ain't one of those things where you can say, oh, he's crazy. He might have been delusional about the lighter, but that doesn't change the reality of the threats made against my family, from the simple fact that my mother come hugging me crying before the medicine. You know, and the threats are still current. Like, they still threaten us and extort us, you know. And
Tell me what it looked like when you say your mother's behavior changed and your stepfather's behavior changed.
my mother, she come hug me while I'm sitting in the living room, and she started crying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and she's never done that before. And I'm working at Triple E in Richmond, and all of a sudden this weird stuff started happening, where I'm being followed from work. Seems like my phone is being monitored. Even um, when I would leave work, the same guy I thought was following me tried to get me pull out in front of the tractor trailer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm driving a low riding sedan, and he driving a pickup truck, and he was harassing me to pull out on the interstate when a tractor trailer was coming. It was no way I could have made it out in front of that tractor trailer. I would have got rear-ended, and he's smart enough to know that that would have been the case. And this is the same guy that I was suspecting of following me for like the past few days.
And that was Chris.
No, this was, I don't even know who this guy was.
Okay.
You know, I don't even know who this guy was, because I was in Richmond, you know, and Chris is from my town. He lived in Lancaster. I live in Lancaster. You know, this was 2 different days where these events happened.
Okay.
Chris followed me the morning where they said allegedly I tried to harm someone, you know, in which I didn't. I didn't know what to do, and I wouldn't have harmed anyone anyway. And this is why I said that that's what they chose to run with, because when I was in the hospital and in jail in 2014 for taking a vehicle, in which they tricked me into doing that, another guy I know who allegedly my girlfriend cheated on me with, they put him in jail. And that's where all that STD stuff come from, you know, and they put him in jail. And they had me in special housing, and they brought him in special housing, kept me in my cell just so he could use the phone. And then a correctional officer who went by the name Mick Swan walked by and looked in there and said, yeah, they're doing okay. Meaning like that they knew that there was an issue between me and him, which it's really not anymore, because we spoke while I was in jail, and you know, we're good. You know, this is a thing where me and my community, I don't have any problems with any of the people I've known all my life, in the sense of people my age. It's the pillars of the community who allegedly got me caught up in this. And the crazy thing about the situation, they dragged a guy my ex allegedly messed with. They dragged my ex into this, and they have nothing to do with any of this. They gave me this medicine not because of an ex-girlfriend or who she allegedly cheated on me with. They monitored me years prior and said we're gonna build this situation around his personal life, and they use a bunch of people as pawns
Mm-hmm.
to make all their moves, and now they're dragging people into this situation that ain't got nothing to do with it. Just like the doctor that gave me the medicine. They quick to say your parents did this, your parents did that. My parents didn't give me the medicine, and that's the only thing that matters. My parents didn't deceive the doctor. The doctor called our house and said, "Hey, Terrell saw too much. Bring him on in." I get there, he's like, "You and your ex broke up. You wrecked your car. You lost your job. Try Cymbalta for depression." So that was sneaky and illegal. And which I reported it to the medical board.
Mm-hmm.
They said they wasn't gonna pursue it. They did an investigation, and they wasn't gonna pursue it. So it's one of these things where they just trying to cover it up. And even my mother said that she was like, they trying to cover up what happened to and they are. So um and even at this job in 2006, you know, um the general manager said to me, he walked up to me, started pointing in my face, and said, "You fuck this up, I will kill you." And he was trying to make it like he was talking about something in my job description of what I was supposed to do at the hotel, but it was a subliminal to this situation, and they want to make me out to be some violent, bad person or someone that did this and did that. But like I said, when we first started,
Mm-hmm.
if we want to, they always trying to one up with me, one up on me. And what I mean by that is when I say something vindicating myself, they try to bring something up to put me right back in this situation as if I deserve to be on this medicine. And I don't. But if they willing to be honest, like I'm willing to be honest, and go fact for fact,
Mm-hmm.
they gonna lose every time. And that's a fact. Because again, this is something that they created based upon lies. Roofied someone for no reason. So they don't have the foundation or the truth on their side. Because from the foundation is is lies, trickery, human rights violation. So the truth is not on their side, and it's multiple people that if they would just talk to the witnesses, will confirm that. Go talk to Chris Sampson, because the reality is he likely knew about this before me, because I don't think they went knocking on his house door at 2 o'clock in the morning, telling him to take a shower, get dressed, be a quarter mile from Terrell house and follow him wherever he go. That makes no sense. If that was planned out in advance, and which it was, because it goes back to rappers, then them having to air it on my cable channel, in which we got local cable
Mm-hmm.
from Main Street with the same people who allegedly are the pillars of the community that are kind of played a role in all this. You know,
That was down the hill.
yeah, he got business on Main Street.
Okay.
And I don't per se know his role entirely,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know the guy. I never met him. But for a family member of mine to come in the house and say that, it means something. So I don't know him. And this is not a thing where, you know, I'm trying to get him in trouble because I don't know him. But my thing is I'm trying to just tell the truth, because I'm tired of people blaming me for this situation. I'm tired of people blaming my family for this situation when nobody in my house in Langston County deal drugs or are involved with anybody that do deal drugs. My real father, I can't speak for him because I don't know him, and he's involved in, he got nothing to do with me, you know. And if someone think that they gonna do this to me on behalf of someone that I don't even know, they're highly mistaken, you know, because I'm not allowing that. Period. I'm not even allowing it from anybody that know me, you know, because I know the truth, and I know my family in Lancaster would never do this to me, you know, and I believe that they are being extorted, you know, and being forced to do this. And not only is the evidence there, is witnesses that can say, yeah, this is very true, you know, from Jesus saying back to the basics, and back to the basics mean people wanting to kill me. To fail us to see, I don't know what's worse. One slip and I'm back to the basics. The game said people brought me back from the dead, that's why they call me the doctor. Jeezy also say, what he say? On that same song, when he said, love turned to hate, and people rather you dead. Talking about me, you know. And Obi Trice saying people want to kill me because I wrote actual facts on the song. Then rappers getting shot a whole 2-3 months prior to um, the referral from a family member for this job. So my thing is, I can't speak for any family member, but I know, you know, don't associate me with my family, because as far as that, talk to them. If they done something wrong, speak to them. Don't associate me with anybody's wrongdoing. And I don't believe my family done any wrongdoing, you know. And if they did, it was because you made them, not because they did it of their own free will. Extortion, period, you know. And that's it, you know. And I know, you know, I know you know what kind of medicine I take. I know we both know what kind of medicine I take. That doesn't change nothing for me, you know. That doesn't change nothing for me in the sense of where I stand, you know. And it shouldn't for you either, because the reality is the government is predators. They predators, and they got a predatory checklist that they like to create and manufacture out of thin air, so they don't destroy their reputation as being pillars of the community, as being seen not as the good guys. So again, you know, they got a predatory checklist. My checklist was, well, we can't just roof him. Let's frame him first and say and make it look like he tried to hurt someone, and then we can roof him, you know. So that was the predatory checklist on my behalf. What predatory checklist they have against us, my real father, stepfather, or anyone else, that's been yet to be determined, you know. But they won't tell me, my family won't tell me, you know. They not in a position to tell me, because again, my boss man in Gloucester told me that in an indirect way, that these folks said if my mama tried to intervene and get me off this medicine, that they would kill me.
Tell me how he told you that in an indirect way.
Okay, yeah, I will. But all right, so it was me, him, and one other guy that was like in maintenance, and he was like talking about the other guy, and he said that this is what he said. He was like that the other guy's wife said that if he ever leave her, that she would kill the kids. Now, if I'm taking a mind reading medicine, and thousands of people got thoughts, let's say me and you work together, and I'm on this medicine getting my mind read, are you gonna come to me and tell me something about another employee, knowing my circumstances, unless that was coded for you to try to message me? And this is a hypothetical. And all right, let's look at it like this. What can I replace mind reading medicine with? All right. Okay, let's look at it like this. Let's say you work at a sports arena,
Mm-hmm.
with and you like the commentator over the basketball event.
Okay.
Would you, and it's three of y'all, would you say something that one of the that one of the other, let's say it's Michael, John, and Joe, and Joe's wife threatened him. He told Michael, you think Michael would tell John at the, and I think I'm still on track. Would you think Michael would tell John what Joe told him about his wife at a sports arena on a live mic that everybody on the radio could hear?
About a conversation in general that they had.
Yeah.
Would he broadcast this conversation within the
Knowing
arena to
knowing
everyone?
that everyone would hear it.
A private conversation.
Private conversation.
Okay, I got what you're saying.
What would you think? Do you think he would do that?
I don't see what the purpose of him doing that would be.
So what would be the purpose of me, someone telling me something, knowing my circumstances about another man's wife threatening to kill the kids? It's the same scenario. I'm just replacing the live sports arena with the live mind reading.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same concept. It's kind of like, you know, it's an apple and there's an orange, but they're both fruits at the end of the day. So, you know, and I know people like to use apples and oranges as being the opposite, but we could use a different fruit, you know, but that's not the point of apples and oranges being the opposite. You know, I don't want them to try to confuse or twist it or anything I'm trying to say. The bottom line is what my boss man, other co-workers said to him was private, and he would not say that to me unless he was talking about my situation. And see, that's the thing. You know, am I getting my mind read? Do you think I'm getting my mind read? You know, so
You were talking about a situation with the three of you,
mm-hmm.
and the boss wife said something about.
Not the boss wife. It was the boss, me, and another employee.
Another employee.
And the other employee told the boss that if what I'm saying is not true in the sense of the government gonna say, well, that's something you can't prove that he was actually saying about you and your family. So if you look at it from that approach, the other employee told something private to the boss, and the boss told me.
Okay.
And why would he tell me that private conversation? You know, but that's not how it really was, because first let me ask you this. If I asked you, am I getting my mind read, what would you say?
I couldn't tell you that.
Do you think I am?
I don't know no more than what you tell me what's going on.
Would you give me a yes or no? Is that asking too much?
Yeah, 'cause I don't know no more than what you telling me what's going on. I'm trying to get clarity. That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to figure out, because every time we talk, we got something new. Okay.
But,
So just like today, you told me about
but let me finish this real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Basically, things are done so they can't be proven by beyond a reasonable doubt. So with that being said, I can't even use the threat made to my mother against my life in a courtroom because the way it was delivered. But let's look at it like this.
Okay, because your mom never came out and actually told you
that
there was a threat.
But she told someone else, and my boss man was trying to warn me
by telling you about the conversation that the other guy.
He was referencing a made-up situation to describe my situation, in which
it was a made-up situation.
I don't think the wife ever threatened him. I think he made it all up to try to give me coded messages because ain't that the way they communicate? I've been getting my mind read for. I just started dealing with you.
I'm not an
And
expert in mind
I've been
reading.
getting my I've
I
been getting
couldn't
my
tell
mind
you
read for
that.
17 and a half years.
Right.
So with that being said, how did the government communicate with me if it's not direct? How do you communicate with somebody indirectly? So you gotta use other people, right?
To
So
use other people
so
to.
why is it, and let's look at it this way. Why is it okay to to make it credible to why is it okay to use someone else as reference to make it credible, and it's credible when it's a behavioral problem on my behalf
Mm-hmm.
or alleged wrongdoing on my behalf? Why is that credible? But when it's threats made in an indirect way against me and my family, then it gets dismissed as not being true. You don't get to pick and choose. If you don't want to tell me and have all these, not you specifically, but if the government don't want to tell me the truth
Mm-hmm.
and have all these protocols, it can only benefit them when it comes to the truth. Because the reality with them, they're never telling the truth.
Okay.
It can't be something that is only true when it makes me look bad or it leave me paying the bill metaphorically for wrongdoing when it comes to this situation. But when it's something that can vindicate me, prove my innocence, prove my family innocence, oh, let's just ignore that. That's not true. He's being delusional. The person who told him that, they didn't mean it that way.
Okay.
But any other time, it's credible. And me being on this medicine for going on 18 years, and no one is willing to say that you're getting your mind read and I have an earpiece. But how do they communicate with me then? If they're not directly communicating with me because of the protocols, then they're communicating indirectly. And indirectly is not always in the benefit of the government, like with what my boss man did. Sometimes it is in the benefit of the government. Sometimes it's checking my behavior. Sometimes it's um, sometimes it's checking my behavior. Sometimes it's what else can it be? Sometimes it's accusatory. But then there's times where people are like, this ain't right. This is a human rights violation. We know Terrell. Terrell is not how you describe it. Things with Terrell is the big three. And what I call the big three is either they flat out lying, they lying by omission, or they creating their environment for things to take place that are taking place. Like, so just when I came in, they said something at the front desk. They was talking about taxes. They weren't talking about my taxes because my taxes are good. What are they talking about? And I can elaborate more on what I think they're talking about, but that's irrelevant, to me. And that's one of the indirect things to associate me with wrongdoing. Not that there was any wrongdoing, but yeah, if it is, it wasn't me, so why associate me with any of that? Let's just point blank say it. Why associate? Because I haven't lied to you thus far, so I'm not going to lie to you now. If it's not associated with me, but that's an indirect way of trying to keep me in check. But when someone indirectly tell me why my life is being threatened to my family if they try to do anything, where they done already made me have a seizure in front of my mother, they done made me have a seizure, 2 seizures, and only one of them my mother was present. The other one, and each time it was when someone asked me what happened, and I mentioned the rapper T.I. and the government and George Bush, you know, and you know, and like for example, Idris Elba, just seen him in a commercial last week where he says the whole game is rigged. He said it's rigged. and it is because everything that allegedly happened, that I allegedly supposedly had done, happened on the government watch. They created it. They created the situation to get me on the medicine, and anything else that happened after that happened on their watch. So where is their accountability?
So tell me about the commercial with Idris.
Um, I really don't remember the details, but I forgot what kind of commercial it was. But he said something about the game being rigged. And I don't know if you ever saw Hobbs and Shaw. You ever seen that? The
I
Fast and
never
the
watched the
Furious
movie.
spinoff. Well, that's about he's in that movie, and he's someone that's bionic and got a kill switch, and he's doing everything on behalf of this secret organization. And at the end, I think he disobeyed him and they killed him. So basically, I got a kill switch. You know, when I was in 2006, when I was at Eastern State, I was at the vending machine, and again, I was being delusional because I actually went crazy in the beginning. And because I did, all these threats was made against my life. I didn't know what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
They put me in Eastern State, and I was at the vending machine thinking that if I got something out the vending machine, you know, that it was gonna that they put snacks in the vending machine to get the medicine out my body. Then some of the snacks in the vending machine was gonna keep it in. I totally lost it. Then I was thinking that I was being bought shampoo by my family, which was gonna get the medicine out my body, and soap that was gonna get the medicine out my body. And then Eastern State was putting stuff in the water to keep it in. This is real stuff that really happened. Like I actually went mentally. I was mentally unstable.
Okay.
My mental health was compromised. But anyway,
And that was due to the medicine.
to the medicine.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Okay.
medicine.
No, I just want to
that,
make
yeah.
sure I'm clear.
So while I was at the vending machine, the doctor there named Dr. Patel, I'm being delusional thinking if I get something out the vending machine,
Mm-hmm.
it's evidence to prove that that they're doing this to me. And he didn't say it directly to me. He said it to the guy that came after me, tall black guy. He said it to him, but which he was, how this indirect stuff go. So you can't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. He called out the guy that was behind me in line and was up at the vending machine after me. He said, "Don't do anything stupid because I'll blow your heart right out your chest." That's what he said. But he can say, well, for one, he can say he didn't say it. But if he admit to saying it, he can say he was talking to the guy after me. He'd never admit that he was talking to me, but he'd never admit he said it. But he don't want to say something like that. T.I. said, you think the power's in the gun, but overall it's in the heart, meaning that I got a kill switch. They can, and they mess with my chest all the time, and if you don't believe me, you can reach out to the nurse at Colonial Behavioral Health. It's times where, I'm going to get my injection, and when and my arm is sitting there pulsating because of the medicine, and it's not regular spasms, it's controlled spasms that they're doing. They do that all the time to me. And she done acknowledged that she done see my arm sitting there jumping. And one time they waited till she stuffed the needle in and jumped the spot at the needle and made the needle go further into my arm, and it actually, hurt a little more. And I was like, she was like, yeah, I did the spasm, and I was like, yeah, nothing. And this is what I said to her, exact words. I was like, nothing surprised me about this medicine anymore. Because again, like they done made me have seizures in front of my mother, all kinds of stuff. So if they're, in which they are, threatening my mother that they will kill me, she believed they will. Because of the
She
simple
told you
fact,
that?
I never asked. Well, I did actually. Told her the story about the boss man, but she wouldn't admit to it. You know, but it's true. Everyone does. But what was I about to say? She won't even admit I'm getting my mind right. I didn't ask her, does she think I'm getting my mind right? She won't admit that either. No one will. So how do you communicate with someone if you can't communicate directly? You communicate indirectly. And you how do you communicate indirectly? You use other people, other props, and other situations as reference points. And to prove that even further, Bernie Mac. I had an embarrassing, intimate night one day when I said it was like 2008, and I was embarrassed, and I go to sleep, wake up the next morning, and Bernie Mac dies. Sandy Hook shooting. Um, I was writing a rap song 3 o'clock in the morning and was having trouble spelling words. And I was like, man, when I was in elementary school, I took accelerated classes. Like, where did I go wrong? You know, because I didn't graduate high school, but I was never a good speller. But I did take accelerated classes in elementary school. I go to sleep, wake up the next morning, turn on the TV, and the Sandy Hook's elementary school gets shot up. You know, and I'm like, is that staged? And the reason why I say it's staged because the timing of it all, from the Bernie Mac to the Sandy Hook, the timing of it is always after something with me. And then, so, and then they make movies about stuff like that. I don't know if you ever seen The Dictator with Sasha, I forgot his last name, the foreign guy. The Dictator, where he would always, anybody that disobeyed him, he would have his soldiers kill him. But they knew he was being irrational. They never killed the people. And this is a comedy.
It was a comedy?
Yeah, called The Dictator. And everybody that would disobey him, he would have killed for the stupidest reasons. But they never killed the people. All the people that he thought he had off for disobeying him, their deaths was faked, and they ended up in New York City in the same neighborhood. And when he get, I think, dethroned, he end up in New York City and run into all the people that he thought he had killed. You know, so this was the Dictator. So yeah, as far as like the Sandy Hooks thing, and think about the Sandy Hooks thing. I'm thinking that was fake.
Mm-hmm.
Why would the government fake a scenario where they kill a bunch of children and then even show parents on the TV crying as if they really lost their child? Then the guy Alex Jones, who said it was a hoax, gets sued by one of the parents, and if I recall correctly, the parent actually won, or whoever sued him relating to that actually won the case, and he had to pay out millions of dollars, I believe. What do you think that does to my psyche? Situations like that, and that's just one to name a few. Is the government trying to make me mentally unstable? Because it seems like my mental health takes the back seat to everything that they got going on. And if this stuff is really happening, when Bernie Mac is really dead and Sandy Hook really happened, then it's just a hell of a coincidence. But if it's not a coincidence, why are people not coming at the government and saying, hey, you're destroying this man's psyche and mental health by creating these fake scenarios, and you go as far and as desperate to kill a bunch of elementary school kids because Terrell have trouble spelling? You're gonna go to those extremes, and then you wonder why the situation is so crazy, and as it is.
What year was the Sandy Hook shooting?
I don't know. I know I think I was living in Gloucester, so it was between 2011 and 2014. I believe.
Okay.
I don't know. I can look it up though. You want me to look it up?
Yeah.
Let me see.
See what year that is.
But yeah, it's just the government. They don't think about the greater good, and I guess they feel they got me where they want me, so they don't have to care about the greater good. All they care about is their own needs, and they take something as simple as the circumstances, which has never been seen before, and December 14th, 2012.
2012.
Yeah,
Okay.
26 kids, 26 people was killed. So they take something like this has never been done before. So they're going to the extremes with it, and not only are they going to the extremes with it, they're using celebrities to influence people's decision making. That's why I don't like them because even Future, I saw something on YouTube where he said something about that the rappers are tired of righting the government's wrongs. Because this is not right. And I even had a guy at CSB, I guess he was talking about my situation, where he said, because it was indirect again, but he was talking about Iraq and Afghanistan, the wars there, and this was what 2011. And he was like, the war should have been over. It's about money, in that, um, in that, it seems like the media romanticize it and normalize it, and that's what they do to me. They de-victimize me, they dehumanize me, and they and that's the whole one up thing. They one up me so they can dehumanize me and de-victimize me because they don't want people to see me as the victim, you know. But the celebrities has been undermining me since forever. I done seen YouTube videos where Jay-Z and Kanye song People in Paris, which was N-word in Paris, where, you know, I look at videos of that song on out in Paris and people dancing around having a good time. I done been in movie theaters. I worked at one where it's a movie about things that went on throughout my life unrelated to ATL,
Right.
and people like knocking me down and getting the theater because they not looking at it because they want to see my life story or parts of my life story in that movie. They want to see it because it's entertaining. So when we use avenues like
Are they
entertainment,
aware that it's about you?
I'm pretty sure to some degree people must know unless they blocking it. But
Okay.
you know
Unfortunately, we running out of
yeah,
time
but
because I need to download you, so I
but
don't want
yeah,
to.
but
Don't start nothing else.
okay.
We're gonna hold right there, so we won't so we can make sure it's all up here
Yeah,
that you
but
want.
like it's